Hi all, I hope you guys have written answer to today's question. And as you guys know, our topic for today was GS3, Science and Technology. Also, I urge you all to get your answers evaluated on CollectorBabu. Okay? So let us not waste a lot of time and delve deeply into the question and the approach to answer it. I have shared my screen and it's loading. So, as usual, the drill is we have taken 3 questions and all 3 are PYQs. So, just try to brainstorm as to how you will be answering these questions. So, the first question is discuss several ways in which microorganisms can help in meeting the current fuel shortage. Okay, so here basically you guys can brainstorm a few points regarding biofuel, okay, regarding using algae for the generation of biofuel or bacteria decomposing to form ethanol, etc. It is asking several ways, so we need to give at least 4 or 5 ways, okay? 2 won't be enough. Okay, so and all these questions are just 150 words and 10 markers, so you'll be getting 2 pages and you need to uh, talk about your answer in that in those very pages only. So see, there are few things to remember. In case you're not able to form many points, then you can give certain other relevant points to the question. For example, you can talk about the significance of using microorganisms in meeting the current fuel shortage, why they're important, etc. But still, that does not mean that you will be getting any marks, but it's better than leaving the page empty, because the crux of the question is ways in which microorganisms can help in meeting the current fuel shortage. Okay, so you need to know about the ways and you need to talk about it. Every other thing is just secondary. You'll not be getting marks for anything you write except for this, but that would definitely fetch you half or 1 marks extra if you have written what the question has asked. Okay, so you can give a very short introduction as to microorganisms and how, because of the because of the ability to metabolize organic and inorganic materials, they play a crucial role in addressing current fuel shortage. Okay, and they offer sustainable, eco-friendly alternatives. So what we have done here, we have put the significance part in the introduction itself. We have not formed many points to talk about what are the significance, etc. Because as I have told that the demand of the question is to answer what and how they are, like how they are ensuring energy security in the fuel shortage. Okay, so firstly, obviously, we can talk about bioethanol production. If you know the names of the organisms, I hope that 1 or 2 names you might remember from the prelims part. If you don't, then even then it's fine, but still try to understand and remember a few names, because this question is from PYQ. So you know that there's this tendency to ask such questions. Okay, you can talk about bioethanol production and like yeast like, okay, and that's a very difficult name to pronounce. So the yeast I have been talking about, they ferment sugars from crops such as sugarcane and corn to produce bioethanols, which is a renewable fuel alternative. Okay, so this is one way. The other, you can talk about biogas generation. Bioethanol and biogas, they're different. Okay, you can talk about methanobacterium breaking down organic waste to produce methane-rich biogas, okay, which can be used for cooking and electricity. This is very very simple to understand how biogas is being generated. And also PM Govardhan scheme is one such initiative which you can write either here only in the explanation part, or you can just make a different column and talk about the schemes that are there. Okay, then you can talk about biodiesel synthesis, like microalgae, as I had talked about earlier. Microalgae being used to produce lipids which can be converted to biodiesel, which is again a cleaner fuel. Then biohydrogen, okay, rhodobacter and cyanobacteria generating green hydrogen gas through biological pathways, a potential green energy source. Then microbial fuel cells. See, this is one of the emerging trends. It would be advisable you write it if you know it, and it's fine. You can give names like geobacter, even though you don't know names, it's fine. But at least you know what are the various ways. Like we can have microbial fuel cell, we can have biohydrogen, we can have bioethanol, we can have biodiesel. Okay, so try to think along those lines while answering, because obviously you won't have all these questions prepared. So bacteria such as geobacter and this difficult named bacteria, like they convert organic matter into electricity, offering direct energy source. And then you can talk about um, cellulosic biofuels. Okay, talking about trichoderma. Okay, degrading agricultural residue into fermentable sugar, enabling second generation biofuels. Okay, so these are some of the ways how they can be helpful, obviously. Then as I'd already talked about earlier, that making a box is one approach where you can quote your examples and highlight it. Here you can talk about national biogas and manure management program. Okay, and then you can give examples of certain uh, industries working in this sphere. For example, Solazyme, now Terravia, they have been pioneering microalgae based biodiesel production. Okay, here you can even if you don't know some companies or any other name, but at least you know the Govardhan scheme, okay, or the biogas generation target, you can talk about those. And in the end, you can just conclude by saying microorganisms offer all innovative solutions to fuel shortages by enabling renewable energy production and waste recycling. Okay, the waste recycling is a very important part here. Okay, so what did we understand? That in science and technology questions, there will be many questions, the answers to which you do not know, but if you try to bring up some of your prelims knowledge, you will be able to find answers and write down answers for them. Okay, this was one such example. After this, you can obviously quote a lot of government schemes, you can talk about the significance and challenges, but that all those are just secondary, because the main question is this: if you haven't answered this, you are not going to get any marks. Okay, maybe some marks you might get on grace, but that is not the approach to answer such questions. Okay, so but obviously something is better than nothing, so if you don't know anything, at least write that down. Okay, so now, this is the second question. See, science and technology questions are very direct. You don't need to analyze a lot. Okay, it's, bring your prelims knowledge and whatever knowledge you have and write down the answers. So, here, how has India benefited from the contributions of Sir Visvesvaraya and M. Swaminathan? Okay, so these two prominent figures, because there's this section in science and technology syllabus given explicitly, you have to talk about the contribution of great scientists and how their works have benefited India. Okay, in the field of water engineering for M. Visvesvaraya and MS Swaminathan. Okay, so you can just give a small insight about here. You can give a lot of, you will have a lot of ways to frame the introduction. You can talk about maybe the budgetary contribution towards research and development towards science, or you can give some prominent names about, for example, Swaminathan, MS Swaminathan, he got Bharat Ratna recently. You can talk about how, you can give some important info related to science and technology domain in the introduction. A very generic data oriented or some current oriented would be enough. Okay, so the first part is M. Visvesvaraya contribution to water engineering. So here obviously we know about Krishna Sagar Dam. Okay, how it revolutionized irrigation in southern India. Okay, you will give this flood control, urban planning, engineering education, University of Mysore. You can also talk about the visionary leadership he emphasized on water management, set standards and sustainable development. Obviously we have read M. Visvesvaraya's name in ethics also, but because it has explicitly written in question that you have to talk about his contribution in the water management, the water engineering domain. So do not try to include something which are not relevant to the question. You only have 150 words, okay, and it's a 10 marker. Try to hit the crux of the question. Then the second part is Mr. Dr. M. Swaminathan. Okay, M.S. Swaminathan. Contribution to agricultural science. Obviously, Green Revolution, you cannot forget. Then you can talk about the scientific research, like introducing dwarf rice method. You can talk about National Farmers Commission being set up under Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. Okay, you can talk about food security, how he had this farmer centric approach, basically to alleviate the plight of marginal and small farmers. Okay, so this basically the basic info about them would answer your question. You don't need to know a lot, but you need to know something. So you can talk about how Visvesvaraya's water engineering innovation and MS Swaminathan's agricultural breakthrough significantly contributed to India's development by addressing critical challenges of water management and food security. Okay, or you can just connect both of their visions and ideals to sustainable development goals also. Okay, for water and for food security, that would be enough. So now we have come to the third question. So, one thing you might have observed that the questions are very short. There's not a lot of explanation that you need to do, but there is some of the knowledge base that you need to have. And if you don't have, then spending little time also on the science and technology portion would reward you in certain ways. Okay. Now this was the one of the most, I guess, weird question. But again, in science and technology, UPSC has this record of asking some weird questions, especially somebody is from arts background, humanities background. So let's try to answer what is in our reach to address this question. Okay. Each year, a large amount of plant material, that is cellulose, is deposited on the surface of planet Earth. Okay, we know. Okay, cellulose is deposited when the leaves fall, when the tree trunks fall, or whatever. Cellulose is deposited on the surface of the planet Earth. Okay, everybody would agree. And then, what are the natural processes this cellulose undergoes before yielding carbon dioxide, water, and other end products? Okay, got it. So we know that when cellulose degrades, it releases CO2, water, and other end products. Okay. So we have to talk about what are those processes through which it happens and which are natural processes. Okay. So what you can do, you can just simply define what cellulose is. Okay, cellulose is a prominent primary structural component of plant cell walls. Okay, most abundant organic compounds or not. Okay, very simple. You can just talk about this, what cellulose is. And then this is the crux of the question. Natural processes that cellulose undergoes before yielding CO2. Because that is exactly what is being asked. Okay, before yielding CO2. Okay, so what might be the natural processes? First, everybody can just answer that there is this decomposition by microorganisms. Agree or not? Decomposition happens. Then fermentation also happens sometimes. Okay. And for example, when herbivore uh, consume those cellulose part, fermentation also happens, and then again CO2, methane, etc. are released. Okay. Then what else? Certain abiotic processes. Okay. Then anaerobic decomposition also happens. So there are a few things. If we brainstorm, we might able to bring out those points and answer it. Obviously, it's a whole different ball game when you're trying to write that answer in a very limited time in mains paper, in the actual mains paper. But still, with practice, you might be able to bring out certain points and understand what the nerve of UPSC is, so that you're able to clear mains and hopefully succeed. Okay. So we'll be talking about decomposition by microorganisms. Okay. Bacteria, fungi secrete cellulase enzymes. Okay. So lase means one that is used to decompose that. Okay. Enzymes to break down cellulose into simple sugars, facilitating microbial Respiration. Okay. This releases carbon dioxide and water as byproduct. Then, when herbivores consume them and digestive fermentation takes place. In ruminants and termites, symbiotic microorganisms in the digestive system degrade cellulose into volatile fatty acids, methane, and carbon dioxide. Obviously, I don't expect everybody to know this. Even I don't know this before writing this answer down. But the point being that one thing we know that herbivores do consume it, and there are certain processes going on. Okay. And because of that, methane is released. Because of that, CO2 is released. Okay. Simple. At least that much we can write. And then abiotic processes like physical weathering and photodegeneration contribute minimally by breaking cellulose into smaller fragments that are easier for microorganisms to process. Role of fire, obviously you have to talk about combustion also, because then again it's a natural process. Forest fire, cellulose is combusted rapidly, directly releasing carbon dioxide, water vapor, and heat energy. And the third part would be humification, okay, and carbon sequestration. In anaerobic conditions, that is wetland, etc., cellulose may partially decompose, contributing to the formation of humus or peat, storing carbon for longer periods. Okay, got it? So we have addressed the crux of the question. Then obviously a very small significant or very small portion we can give about the significance of the process, because what the whole process is being talked about is the carbon cycle. Okay, so you have to talk about ensuring continuous movement of carbon between biosphere, atmosphere, and lithosphere. So this carbon cycle, and then it enhances soil fertility. Okay, fostering plant growth. So it helps in climate regulation while releasing greenhouse gases. Some processes like humification helps sequester carbon, mitigate climate change. So it's like both, it both releases and it both helps in sequestering. You have to talk about both those both the aspects. And at last, I mean, three are enough, you don't have to write a lot, but okay, fine, so we can discuss this. It provides energy for decomposer and maintaining food web dynamics. Okay, carbon cycle is a must, you have to talk about it. Okay, rest all you can give a small one liner point, whatever it is, but carbon cycle you need to talk about. And then you have to talk about how, in the conclusion part, how the natural breakdown of cellulose is vital component of Earth's carbon cycle, balancing ecosystem dynamics while influencing climate and soil health. Okay, so there was not a lot to discuss, but obviously everybody needs to give some effort to science and technology section so that it will be beneficial for them in the long run. All right, take care, bye bye, and keep writing.